Hey, welcome back, Chubby. Hey, we got our boy Goodman back with us. So,
Hey, man.
yeah, how long has it been? What was? I think you were number like 150 something last time.
Don't know the number. It's been a few months.
It's definitely been like 6 months, probably. It
Right.
was over Christmas break, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Might have been.
Been a ton happening over at Fab D's with you guys.
There sure has. It's been busy.
Busy. You guys just hit 60,000 on TikTok a couple weeks ago.
That's right.
Yeah, eat that mic a little bit more.
We've been
there you go.
We've been celebrating at 60,000. We worked hard to get that, and so we've been celebrating that with a lot of the customers and doing some special stuff, doing some giveaways and that sort of thing.
You guys been traveling left and right.
Yeah, every month this year we've been gone for at least a week. And
Every month this year, you've been gone for at least a week. So you got 5-6 weeks out right now.
yeah,
Every bit of that.
Right, and we've got June. We're going to Dallas, and I'm not sure where we're going in July, but I'm sure we'll end up somewhere.
What do you do when you go out like that? What do you do? What's your goal?
Well, typically, we're going to apparel markets. So this is
Apparel markets.
yeah. So this is the fashion vendors from L.A. are coming out to the market centers in Atlanta or Dallas or wherever we happen to be. And rather than everybody having to go to L.A., they kind of come to us. So we meet, in Atlanta a couple times a year, in Dallas a couple times a year. And it's a good chance to not only purchase for the upcoming season, but also to form relationships with vendors and work out special promotions and those kind of things.
Yeah. So you're just going looking for deals, looking for what's hot, staying fresh.
Yep, Deanna's staying on top of all the trends by going, and she's kind of rubbing shoulders with a lot of the top people in the industry and learning from them.
Yeah.
And people who will be bringing the products for the next season are kind of giving us a heads up of what the trending items are going to be.
Yeah. So are these people are you going to like social media type people? I'm sure they're doing it all. Or most of them doing it all on social media like you guys?
As far as other boutiques,
Yeah.
probably not to the extent. I mean, some are.
Yeah.
But a lot of what we're doing at those kind of meetings is really just preparing for the next season. So, like when we go in June, we'll be purchasing
Winter.
items for late fall, early winter.
Christmas.
Yeah.
That type of thing. Huh. But you go to one of them a month, so
We go somewhere once a month. The first in January this year, we went to Florida, but that was for FabD Beauty.
Oh,
So
okay.
that was meetings that Deanna had at the labs, working on formulas and working on new products for FabD Beauty.
Oh, gotcha. Huh. You've turned into quite the TikTok star.
Well, we do love the TikTok. Love it some days, hate it some days. But
What do you hate? What's bad about it?
the keyboard warriors on TikTok are pretty crazy. But
What do they do on there?
just a lot of complainers, and it's kind of like the
People that have bought off of you?
just people who they didn't like the collar shirt they got, or they didn't like this or that.
Yeah.
We do the 2 for $22 T-shirts, as you know, and so it's all mystery. And once in a while you'll get somebody on there who just have a fit over, I don't like red, or like we should have known.
Yeah.
And people are freaking crazy, man.
Man, I tell you, I don't know. I'm sure you can vouch for this, but I'm in sales. Okay, so I've always been in sales, and I have noticed that the American consumer, or just society's consumer,
Right.
has lost their ability to communicate.
Wow, that's for sure.
Haven't they really? Isn't it awful?
But is that the TikTok of America? I mean, is that
I don't know.
Is that social media doing that?
I don't know. I wish I could. So I've been doing this solar gig,
Right.
And a lot of times, I do it different now. But when I first started it a few months ago, I was going door to door,
Right.
and did that for a while, just trying to get a feel for who's interested and who's not, and what I noticed is that I was telling Reynolds, or one of them, the other day, that like the economical fundamentals of selling have ruined the consumer.
So break that down for me.
Yeah, it's tough to kind of say, but like you're as good as whoever came through before you.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Right.
Like now I'm in a very brand new market with that.
Right.
Okay. So I'm very like, whenever if and I'm not really so much going door to door, we'll have projects in that neighborhood and it's like, okay, how, so I'm going to go tell these people what's going on, what's available as far as the savings, how they can lock in their power and, the whole gamut because it's done through their power company, right?
Right.
That's what's cool about what's happening now. But they don't even want to hear. I mean, it's like, people have like used to, if you wanted something, you had to go get it. Okay. You like physically had to go get it. You and I grew up in malls and shopping centers and window shopping and catalog shopping. And then, if you was lucky, I can't really remember like ordering stuff from the catalog. I just remember seeing it and then knowing what I wanted to go get.
Well, I remember that was Christmas.
Yeah.
Christmas was that catalog coming. You circle what you want.
Yeah.
And, I mean, everything. That's the way you shopped.
That was how, like, you remember the big, thick, like, was that JCPenney or Sears catalog that they used to send out?
Yeah, I think that was Sears, wasn't it?
It was either JCPenney or Sears.
Yeah.
It was before Kohl's.
Whatever it was, I know I was watching the mailbox for that
Me too. That thing had come at about 1st of November, and you was breaking out the marker.
Son.
Yeah.
I've been ready for this.
Yeah, shoes. I remember the Reebok pumps came out. So, like, man, sorry, my allergies. I've been in the field all day fixing fence, and man, it feels like a hummingbird shit in my face. But but now the difference is instead of you like, oh my gosh, I want that, let's go get that. Everything's at your thumbs.
Oh yeah, I mean the girls at the shop texted me the other night at like 10 o'clock and said, "Hey, forgot to tell you we need copy paper." 15 seconds later, I had copy paper on the way from Amazon.
Yeah,
I mean that's the new way of shopping, and in the same way that we do our shopping now, we don't go out to the malls like we used to. I mean those things are going to be non-existent.
They already are,
and
pretty much. I mean,
But now, I mean, everything, as you said, is at your fingertips, and the way that social media has evolved, I think it's going to become more and more. I mean, I think virtual reality is going to become. I think 10 years from now, we're going to live our life behind virtual reality lenses.
Did you see that thing at Elon? Did you see what I put on my Facebook story?
I don't remember.
The neuro chip.
No, I didn't see it.
You didn't see that?
I don't think so.
Oh my gosh!
They planted one in somebody, right?
They planted this neuro chip the first one that they planted,
right,
went in a guy that was disabled. Okay, and we'll have Beef pull this up. If she can find it, I'm gonna send it to her right now.
Okay.
But I want you to watch this.
Seems like I've seen or heard something about this.
I have to turn my thing down. I think that it's. I'm gonna send it in Messenger. I'll send it to her. That way she has it. But I want you to watch this thing. Oh. Hit the wrong Erica. There it is. Down here. Look at this thing.
So what can you show us?
Watch this. So this guy couldn't. He couldn't.
As a demonstration of what you can now do. Here we go. This is the lead app. This is how I control everything. This is the app that they've uploaded onto my computer that lets me control the cursor. This is my devotional that I've been reading all the time.
So he's just thinking these things and making that happen. Yeah. Wow.
Watch it.
Tracing it with your eyes.
Man, I love that shit. I do. I'm a nerd for this kind of stuff. You like that, or you think that's scary?
Hey, both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's super cool.
Well, I think that it's. I think that it's just one of those things that. Hey, that guy right there could never get on a computer. He was paralyzed. He was quadriplegic.
Just changed his life.
That changed that boy's life.
Gave him a quality of life he would have never had.
Yeah. As long, I think, as they can keep it for the good like that, I think, you'll be in good shape. But, I mean, at what point are we chipping kids at birth? And,
Right.
When's that going to happen?
Right.
You know it's already being done. You know that study is in effect right now.
No doubt in my mind.
I mean, look at these electric cars and just those cars now. So, like, this was one of the reasons I just decided to get out of the insurance business. There was a long list. But think of this. Tesla right now has an app for their car insurance.
Right.
Okay. That app is driven by the car. So that car tells that app how and where and, everything about your driving.
Right.
And then rates you accordingly.
It does.
So think about that.
Yeah. I mean, so AI is going to take over our life, whether we like it or not. I mean, they
Absolutely.
Where are we at? Version 4.5, I think, of ChatGPT right now.
Yeah.
And just the difference between 4 to 4.5, if I've got
Was mind-blowing.
Was mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're just holding that stuff back. I mean, I've heard interviews with the CEO of ChatGPT that says we just can't release it all at once. Like, the world's not ready for what we could do with AI.
So, like, imagine that you had a neurochip along with, which he does now with AI.
Right.
I mean, how and if you're sitting there taking a test and you're a high school student.
That's superhero shit's what that is.
Yeah. And I mean, and you all you got to do is think it, and it does it.
Right.
I mean, is that good? Is that bad? I don't know. I don't know.
That's good till you're in court and everybody can see what you're thinking.
Oh yeah, yeah. Your brain is going to turn into a server,
Right.
and it's just going to spit out whatever you did.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I think it's incredible, and I think it's scary as hell.
Yeah.
I think I don't trust the people that control these things, and I think the things that they can do already are unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. It's not that I don't trust them. I think they all go into it with the good intent. However, it's like that there's always a few holes. Okay, and sooner or later somebody's going to see what those holes are and exploit them.
Pudge, if I told you that I could give you the superpowers of a superhero, I don't care how good of intentions you come in with it, you're going to want to see those powers in action. And I think with AI, I mean, you might be right; they might come in with good intentions, but power corrupts, and that's another kind of power that I think is incredible. I think it's fascinating. I'm like totally intrigued by it. I listen to every podcast I can listen to about AI and VR and all those things, but I think it's really, really scary because there's humans who are making decisions about how much of that they're going to give us. My
son right now does his homework, some of his homework and stuff, and a lot of it, about everything, his gaming, his homework, his studying, he does it all on a VR headset.
Yeah.
That MetaQuest, that he's got two of them. He's got the old one and the new one. And I mean, he'll just sit there and I mean, he's just sitting there with that headset on. And
isn't that amazing?
I only let him do it. I mean, it's not that I tell him he can't do it, but I mean, we also make sure that we're out doing stuff.
Right.
I make sure he does
But
stuff.
think about as they take those VR headsets down to
size of your eyeglasses.
And then they find a way to implant them in you. And
you just turn them on.
Yeah.
Contacts.
And it becomes the norm.
It'll be contact lenses.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you'll just look in and that's what it'll be.
It's the norm. I think that 10 years from now, I think that's the way people live their life. They'll have that, whether it's a contact lens or something like that, and it'll be what everybody does, and you'll talk about the time when you didn't have that. Like, do you remember a time that you didn't type messages into your cell phone?
Yeah.
I I mean, how crazy is that? I mean, how many times a day do you send a text now?
You remember when iPhones first came out, and like I can remember guys showing me albums upon albums of like iMusic on their phone.
Right.
And I mean, I was just blown away that all this was done on their phone. I remember the first phone that came out with it had like this attachable camera.
Okay.
There was one that like there was a cord with.
Yeah. Snap it on.
And you took it and it just sent it to that and you could make it like your screensaver or something.
Right.
You know.
That's early.
Yeah, you're talking like 2000, 99, 2000.
Yep.
Right out, as soon as they went from the bag phones, you would know way more about this than me, but they went from the bag phones and then you got into like those Nokias.
I'm telling you, though, bag phones were ahead of their time.
Were they?
Those were 3-watt devices with an outside antenna on the outside of your vehicle. You could pretty much call the damn moon on that thing long before its time. Because, then you go to half-watt cell phones that
Ran off cellular.
Yeah, and you're
Explain that to me. So you were in that business.
sure.
And you had you sold bag phones?
No, I was a customer of the bag phone when I was young.
Okay.
And but I'm telling you, that thing, you could make a call from anywhere with a bag phone.
Oh, I can't remember having great service.
Oh yeah, I had a bag phone, had the little, looked like the old fashioned phone, the antenna on the outside of the vehicle.
They had cords.
And I can remember somehow, for some reason, I think I used to run with a guy that Nia Henry was affiliated with in some way, and somehow we were in one of her vehicles when I was just a kid, and I can remember seeing she had the first bag phone that I ever saw.
Yeah.
And how amazing is that? But I mean, those things really were ahead of their time. But
big wattage, big power. Mm-hmm. So you plugged it into your cigarette lighter?
Yep.
Okay, and then you had that bag. They called them bags just because that was the base, and you took it out.
Right.
You took your antenna and everything out with it. So 3 watts coming out of your cigarette lighter, powering this base, this receiver, and then you had an external antenna that you would take through your window or whatever.
Yeah.
And if you had a real fancy car, remember the big dish, like the boomerang looking thing?
Right.
That's how you knew if they had a cell phone, if they had a car phone.
Right.
What
I
did
can remember running that cord out the back, like under the trunk.
Yeah.
Around the seat, up under the trunk.
Yeah.
And
people would steal them?
sure they would.
It was just magnets. Man, and you never called and like we didn't. We didn't call unless we had to because it was like $1 a minute or something.
As like calling a 900 number or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of rates.
Are those still around? Like
I don't
the
think
900
so.
numbers?
I don't think so. I'm sure that's the internet has probably evolved to where they're making money different ways now doing that. But think like 20 years ago, 30 years ago. I mean,
it's only 30 years ago.
Think about the things that we're doing now that seemed like the Jetsons back then.
Yeah.
And, all this AI and even, the internet. I mean, all the things that we're doing on the internet every day. I mean, we're doing our banking transactions. We're doing our shopping. You
remember the first time you got on the internet?
I can remember some of the early programs that I used on the internet. ICQ was like a chat program.
Yeah, I had that.
I can remember spending a lot of time on that. I never got heavy into Napster. I'm not sure why.
LimeWire. Were you a LimeWire guy? No. You didn't get into downloading music?
No, I was never into the...
it was like Columbia House. Only those steroids.
Right. Yeah. And I don't know why I didn't. But
that's the first time you could do it by the song.
Yeah.
Used to you'd have to dub all that stuff. You'd have to like cut it out or what. At Columbia House, you just got the album.
Right.
You either played that song or whatever. You carried 500 disc suitcases in your car.
Right. Well, and you had the, under the seat, you'd have the 12 CD changer.
Yeah.
And
my black Ford, I still got a 6 disc in that.
There you go.
I think they all still have disc players in them. I mean, most of them don't. I have one in my truck, but I never use it now.
Yeah.
But
I've always been a geek for that stuff. I always loved the new technology and love to see what's coming. And I think social media right now, I love watching the way the different platforms evolve.
Yeah.
And I like how, TikTok, all the attention right now is on TikTok. All the eyeballs are there. but you can jump right back over to Facebook, and now all of a sudden, there's still people looking at Facebook, but you're not competing with all those people anymore that you used to be. So we're going, even though we're going, 100 mile an hour on TikTok, we're jumping back to Facebook and we're going organic.
You told me that.
What we used to pay big money to advertise even a couple years ago, now we're doing organically just because there's not all that competition anymore. People are still looking at it, but everybody's trying to be on TikTok.
How many Facebook followers do you have?
We got about 15,000 on our page, and then a similar number in our group.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you're doing a group page, a group, and you have a group that does your sales, and you have a page that advertises it, right?
Yeah, the group, the original intention was that the group would be more of a community of people who more private, and the page would be more public was kind of the intent. Now, as things have evolved, you probably don't really need both.
Really?
Yeah. I think if I had to do over, I would probably just do a page, and, maybe I'd only do groups if I had a particular promotion happening, or, much like you'd set up an event on Facebook.
Yeah. Do it. Yeah. Just do that instead of having a page. Yeah. I just started a page. You probably saw yesterday. I got all fired up at the house,
right,
and decided to liquidate.
Right.
Yeah. I've noticed the more shit you have, the more shit you do.
That's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, like there's it's just like the horses. Well, horses, you got to have a fence. Okay. Well, today I was out fixing fence.
Right.
Or you're out weed eating fence, or I was bush hogging all weekend. If you have the space that is taken up by stuff that will never ever be used again, like the baseball cleats. We had a whole tote of baseball cleats that nobody in the house could ever wear again. They were going to end up on some sort of Halloween decoration at some point.
Right. Isn't it amazing how you can accumulate all these things?
These women, they just love to collect that stuff, and they act like they're going to pull those out again and look at them. And it's like, you will if you have them, but if you don't, you just move on. Like you just forget about it.
Right.
And, we're one of those people, we've never moved. Our family's been in the same house the entire time. A lot of people get rid of that stuff on a move.
Oh, yeah. Because nobody wants to have to move that stuff twice.
I remember whenever I was moving in college and stuff, if I moved from one place to the other and it was still in the same box that it was when I moved it, I just threw it away.
Didn't need it.
Yeah, I just figured, well, I don't need that.
Right.
Hey, guys, while we're paying the bills, let's talk about one of our oldest sponsors that's been with us since the beginning. Geiger Brothers. Geiger Brothers is headquartered in Jackson, Ohio, with offices in Columbus, Ohio, and Knoxville, Tennessee. We provide construction services in Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia, and Tennessee. A veteran and dynamic staff of talented people, symbolic of our 100-year history of success, gives Geiger Brothers a distinct advantage. Leveraging that experience for our customers allows us the ability to provide consistent and superior performance for their construction, engineering, and fabrication needs. And hey, we've had several of these guys on our shows. Scott Massey, Kyle Hickey, Shay Meredith, just to name a few. Go back, look through some of the old episodes and get to know them. It's a great group of people that have been with us for a long time, and we certainly appreciate it. So enjoy tonight's show, courtesy of Geiger Brothers here in Jackson.
Now, I like to have like this room where it's got everything that this room does. That's great. But just to like in your living arrangement stuff, if you don't, you need to compartmentalize things. Like almost like I'm trying to make my house like, obviously we're still going to live in it, but the kitchen's the kitchen. We don't need bills in the kitchen.
True.
We don't need shoes in the kitchen.
Right.
We don't need book bags in the kitchen. We don't, that stuff needs to go where it needs to go.
You sound like a neat freak.
I'm getting there the older I get.
Right.
I'm getting there. Now, what I've noticed is it's a constant uphill battle.
Some people call that cranky.
Could be. My wife would have said I was cranky the other day whenever I said I was going to sell everything.
Right.
Yeah. Because we've been talking about that for years. Like, hey, like I told Mindy, I was like, hey, listen, there's a lot of this stuff that we get Gibson, and like let's say you get him like a dress up shirt or something, for a wedding. He gonna wear that one time.
Right.
You know, I mean, so, I'm not saying get full price out of it, you know, and I mean, heck, if somebody needs it, I'll gladly give it to them. But, you know, it's like, hey, you know, mark that thing down to $5 or $10, get some of your money back out of it, and let somebody get a steal.
Right.
You know, it's just like those baseball cleats. I mean, most of those baseball cleats was $40 to $60, and you're talking they've literally been worn 6 times.
Right.
You know,
Yep.
They don't practice. You know, they just go play games. So it was like, you know, whatever, however long that season was, that's how many times that thing's been worn. They didn't even have the creases in the toes where they'd run. You know, still stiff, just felt like new ones, you know, and I was like,
Yard sale prices now, though.
yeah. But at least get them out of there.
That's
you know?
what no, that's what my wife does with clothes. She,
Yes.
You know, she'll wear them one time and then she's done with them.
Yeah.
And so, you know, just the other day, she gave a whole trash bag of stuff to somebody, and a lot of times, some of it's even still got tags on it.
Yeah.
She just gets over it, and
Yeah.
but a lot of times she's coming in to model for the app, for example, and so she's just wearing black on black. And she doesn't really have a reason.
Yeah.
You know, when we travel, she got a reason to dress up.
Yep.
Those kind of things. But day to day, a lot of times she's modeling for the app and website, and so there's really not a reason to wear that stuff. She loves it, but just doesn't always have a reason to.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I mean, you know, there again, it's another thing that the internet has provided us to be able to do. I mean, I wouldn't dare have a yard sale. Would you? I mean, you will break out the tables and.
Let me tell you about the last yard sale we had. Deanna and I had a yard sale. I don't know, 6-7 years ago, and we had brought out a big jar of change. For yes, we'd have quarters and dimes or whatever we needed for customers. And a fellow walked up and he said, "How much for the jar?" And I thought he was kidding. I was like, "Yeah, ha, you know." And he was serious as could be. He thought he was going to buy that jar full of change, and
Should have sold to him.
yeah, I guess if I'd have been able to calculate in my mind fast enough.
He was probably going for those like 1992 quarters and those quarters that have the real silver in them now.
Yeah, or wheat pennies or something.
Yeah, that's probably what he was going for.
Yeah, maybe. But that's the last yard sale we ever had, and it's God, that's a nightmare.
Last one we had, whatever was left went to Goodwill.
Oh, absolutely, every time.
You know, and I mean, you go in there and I mean, you make $80. You work your hind end off. You
haggle over $2 item.
Yeah.
You know, would you take $1.50?
Yeah. We got to where we would just put them on these tables, and whatever was on that table, we'd put $5 or, you know, 4 for $5 or whatever, you know, and just try to get them out of there. But yeah, but we've acquired, you know, these rentals and stuff, we've acquired furnitures and, you know, appliances and just stuff that just needs to go. You know, every time we go into one, we basically just get rid of it. But I haven't really thrown anything away. It's, you know, it's in storage, and it's like, okay, this has got to go. I'm never going to use that. You know,
we just left an Airbnb here a week or so ago, and left all kinds of food and things, you know, unopened food and that sort of thing behind. And I thought, man, somebody's going to hit the jackpot when they come in here to.
They do that up here all the time. Yeah, typically if it's like refrigerated stuff, I don't keep it. Like I'll never keep it for the guests, you know. But like, there's been people like leave popcorn, a box of popcorn and stuff that's packaged, you know, dry goods packaged. I'll keep those and just let them sit up there, and people use them.
Hey, when we were talking about how we don't go out to malls anymore, that just reminded me. Instacart is like the greatest thing ever.
Oh, you mean like grocery shopping?
Yeah, you just get on an app on the internet, pick out all your groceries, and somebody brings it to the front door.
I know, man.
I mean, wow, how things have changed.
How do you think your grandma, who was cooking for 12 people on Sundays, or how, you know, I don't know how you guys did it, but that's what we did. You know, we had the whole Sunday dinner every Sunday. Think of that, you know, or your mom or whatever, even cooking for 6, 7, 5, 6. How sweet would that have been for them?
Sure.
You know,
but I feel like the grandmas of the world wanted to like touch the fruit or the vegetables and make sure that they were ripe or whatever it is that you do with that kind of thing.
If I had a wish, like if let's say I had a genie right now and I could get 3 wishes, I would want to go back to like 1940 right now. After all this development and everything, and just live a week in 1940 and just
So what aspect of 1940 is appealing to you?
I just, or just whatever. It could have been the 20s. It could be, I think the 40s and the 50s that we were enough along with utilities that you weren't Amish.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? 40s and 50s, most people had running water, and if you lived in town or something. A lot of people didn't.
You just want that simple life.
It could be the 60s for all I care, 70s. I'd like to just go back to any of those generations. That even the 80s, but 80s you started getting like video games and that type of thing, which stuff that you didn't have up until then. Sure. I'm talking back whenever cable was just 3, 8, 11, 13. On the television.
That's probably late 70s, right?
Yeah, and or back whenever they used to have to listen to the Reds on the radio. Like you hear all those guys our dad's age talking about how they dial them in.
Oh, I remember my grandma listening to Reds on the radio every game.
And that's how we did it on the way home the other night from Athens. We went over and had some pizza and was coming home and we listened to the Reds on AM radio.
Yep.
And I was like, in my mind the whole way home, then we'd hit a dip and I'd lose it. And
there's nothing that ticks my kids off more than AM radio.
Oh yeah,
they don't understand why you would ever do that.
Why do they do that? Isn't that you can dial an AM radio from anywhere, can't you? Like isn't an AM signal an AM signal?
Yeah, I don't know a lot about that, but I think an AM signal like 700 WLW out of Cincinnati. I know they go to like 26 states.
Yeah,
so I assume that it's for the distance, but I'm speaking out of school about that. I don't know much about it.
I don't either. I don't know what the difference between FM and AM would be.
I don't know enough to speak on it, but I'm pretty certain that AM has the range that FM doesn't have.
Not the clarity.
Definitely not the clarity.
Definitely not the clarity. You could definitely tell it was AM. I mean, it was in the background. Those squelch.
That brings back a lot of good memories. Listening to that kind of radio.
Yeah, we were coming back from Athens, and it still had like squelch, like a CB would.
Yeah.
And it is still doing all that, but you could hear it from Athens to Cincinnati.
Sure.
I think they were out in L.A. Whenever they were doing that, I think it was getting broadcasted from L.A.
But don't you think satellite radio has pretty much put that out of business now?
I'm sure I could have got on some website and Bluetooth from my phone and listened to that. But it was just one of them quick deals. We jumped in the car, the Reds is playing, and Mindy's like, well, what station? We looked it up. It was like AM 970, whatever it was, and we hit it, and sure enough, there it was.
Yeah.
And
that's cool.
So we were coming down the road, and I was like, man, this is what they used to do. Like, they used to, run home to listen to the Reds game.
Crackle.
Yeah, they would, and that's why they knew all those players, verbatim. They could tell you exactly where, Sandy Koufax. I'm just going back to that era, but they could tell you the positions on every team because they were listening, kind of keeping stats either on paper or mentally in their mind on what the Reds did.
Yeah, filling out the little scorecards.
Yeah.
And that was sure a different time, but that's interesting. And I can remember my grandmother listening to the Reds on radio.
I wonder when they started doing that on TV.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it'd be the 80s, wouldn't it?
70s. I'd say 70s maybe. World Series.
Yeah, I can remember being a very young child and listening or watching the Atlanta Braves, America's team, on TBS, black and white, in my bedroom. So that would have been probably late 70s.
Yeah. Yeah, they would have had that, especially like the World Series. You might not have had every game, but you would have had your big ones. Your Olympics would have been on TV back then, I bet.
Yeah, you had TBS had the Atlanta Braves.
Yep.
And back then that was my team because they were on there all the time, and they
were on there all the time.
What was it out of Chicago? Had
Cubs.
Had the Cubs.
Harry Carey.
Yep.
They had Harry.
WGN, I think.
Yep. I used to watch the Cubs.
So your teams were basically the 2 or 3 that you could actually see the games for,
because they had a population like Atlanta and Chicago back in,
right?
And they had big stations that could broadcast that.
Right. Yep.
Very rarely did you catch your Bengals in Cincinnati on there. I mean, it was on local television for us, but it's like you didn't get to see like the San Diego Chargers and
Oh, absolutely.
the LA Clippers and people like that. You didn't get to see that.
There's another thing that's evolved. For $150 a year, you can watch almost every football game that you want to watch.
Yeah.
Every team, everywhere.
Yeah.
The whole blackout thing's stupid, I think.
What's the blackout thing?
So in certain areas, you'll get all your games except the Bengals, for example.
Because they're on that station. They
Yeah.
only have rights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but you can buy a Sunday ticket for like $150 and pretty much watch every game nationwide. You do the same thing with baseball, and I'm sure a lot of other sports as well. And,
UFC.
Yeah.
You just buy a UFC fight pass. We got to cover this. Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, Goodman. Where you at? I know where you're going to be.
I mean, I'm a Tyson guy.
Well, sure.
So I think the whole thing's stupid. I think it's just a big money grab, but
I don't.
I'll probably watch it.
I don't think it's stupid. I'll put it to you this way, because I tell you, Mike Tyson has said for years. I am in deep dive with Mike Tyson. Okay. And I know he's got his past or whatever, so do we all. Everybody's got, something haunting them,
Sure.
But Mike Tyson, in my opinion, like, people underestimate his eloquent way of speaking sometimes. Like, that guy has a way of putting things, if you really listen to him.
Yeah.
And he has said for years that his grandchildren, or your grandchildren's grandchildren would still be talking about him. And I think if you really listen to him, I think that's what he's trying to do right now. I think, he's going to be 58 whenever he does this fight. And let's say so he goes from Mike Tyson, the baddest man on the planet, Iron Mike, in his 20s and 30s. I think the last time he fought Roy Jones, but I think he was in his 40s, maybe a little bit. Yeah, he was maybe 40.
In his prime, in my lifetime, he was the baddest man on the planet, and there was no close second at that time. Don't even give me Holyfield. Don't bring that. There wasn't anybody as intimidating and as scary as Iron Mike in the ring.
Okay, fair. However, if you look at like stats, and now you go back and look at ability, you take guys like Holyfield.
Holyfield was a beast, but there was nobody as intimidating as Iron Mike.
Intimidating and the GOAT is two different things. Now, is he the best that's ever done it? I don't know. Those guys back in like the 40s and the early 1900s, Rocky Marciano and those guys, man, those guys fought 4 and 5 times a night, 5 nights a week.
Animals.
Have you ever seen like Rocky Marciano's fists? His fist.
Right.
They just look like big balls, like big bowling balls.
Just like big leather.
Yeah, they're round.
He had his own gloves.
Yeah, like, and his fists, yeah, they're round. Like,
Yeah.
And I'm sure it was from just being swollen.
Right.
From hitting so much. And I think that's what Mike Tyson's trying to do right now. I think he is trying to, think about it. This guy goes out at 58 years old and deuces up a 27-year-old. Hey, guys, we got to pay the bills. Let's talk about AP Prep and how you look them up at apprep.info. You go in there. If you got a child and they need performance training, that's one of the things that they offer. And it's simple. Their performance training, it drives their athletes to seize full genetic potential. And first of all, they're going to assess your kids' overall balance, their mobility, their hand-eye coordination, their foot speed, understand all their body mechanics, their output, their strength, everything. Look them up, apprep.info. All the info's there. You'll see it. Then they got a boxing class for the adults. It's $10, or you can join by the month. These workouts, you can burn up to 1,000 calories an hour. So, guys, you can't beat it. Look it up. I know it's a drive over there. It's a good time for you and your kid. You'll love it. Do some good bonding time. apprep.info. Look them up.
That's pretty incredible.
And hey, Jake Paul, I don't care what anybody says, man. He can box.
He can.
He must have a hell of a power punch to him. Like he's dropped. He dropped Ben Askren. He dropped Tyrone Woodley. Tyson Fury beat him as a draw. Tommy Fury. Tommy Fury is Tyson Fury's younger brother.
Right.
Up until last week was the heavyweight champion of the world. Tyson Fury was, and this guy's his younger brother. You're talking about, this guy is fighting people that fight. Tyrone Woodley and Ben Askren. I know Ben Askren, say whatever they want to say about that guy. He just looks cheesy, but trust me, he's seen a lot of combat.
Sure.
This guy's wrestling resume is unbelievable. I know it's not wrestling, and it's not, but I'm just saying, how hard those guys are to knock out. That's not a guy that's not used to this.
Even Ben Askren survived and thrived at times in MMA.
Yeah, he did.
And that ain't all wrestling. You got to start on your feet.
And I'm just saying, if you're accustomed to taking a blow to the head, you're hard to knock out. You're used to it, And he's dropping these guys.
Right. But I think the reason that I say it's stupid, I want to remember Iron Mike Tyson from the Iron Mike Tyson that I remember. I don't want to see 58-year-old. Now, if he's out there, I'm going to be rooting for him because I want him to knock the shit out of that guy.
Yeah.
But I want to remember him the way he was because in my mind, he's the GOAT.
I think
you can bring me all your stats that you want, but I'm telling you,
yeah,
ain't nobody wanted to step in the ring with that guy.
None of the rest of them had their own video game, did they?
That's true.
That was my favorite video game.
That was a good one.
That, Contra, and Excite Bike. That was my 3 Nintendo go-tos. Yep. Probably followed by Mario and Duck Hunt.
Doug Hughes and I used to have an Olympics game. I can't remember what it was called now, but it had the joystick, and you take that thing, you go this way. We'd wear blisters in our hands playing that damn game.
Then they had the pad.
Yeah.
You remember the pad that you could run in place and do? Well, I think that's his whole goal with this. I think he's going to try to be as bad as he can for as long as he can. I thought he looked slow and old. I say slow and old, but I don't mean it. I'm just saying you could tell he was in his 50s whenever he fought Roy Jones. I thought whenever they both came out, they looked a little stiff.
Right.
You saw these videos of these guys punching bags, and how fast they look. Mike Tyson has this way of almost like a shuffle and a hop at the same time. But whenever he comes in on you, he's crouched down, he's in a power position, and he's fast. His hips are fast.
Looks like one of those big cats out in the wilderness.
Yeah, whenever he shifts those hips and rolls his hips around, he's wherever he wants to be. I didn't see that against Roy Jones like it looked in the hype videos.
Sure.
I'm anxious to see. Now, I don't think Jake Paul's like that either. I don't think Jake Paul's super athletic like an Evander Holyfield or one of these. He doesn't have a reach like Lennox Lewis. He
shouldn't even be in the same conversation with those people at this point.
Well, we'll see.
So what? He knocks out 58-year-old Mike Tyson.
He's in a lose-lose.
He is.
Yeah. I don't respect the fact that he even did it.
And I guess that's what I'm saying when I say I think the idea is stupid. I think he should go. I think he's legit. I think he's a good fighter, and I think he ought to just, like everybody else, he ought to work his way up through the ranks and
go be the heavyweight. There was one reporter that was like, "Hey, how long are you going to do these exhibitions? You're wanting to be the world heavyweight champion, the world, you're heavyweight champion of the world. Well, you're going to have to get into a sanctioned boxing match." Which are you're going to have to go through the ranks as a contender. You can't just keep doing these exhibitions and be the heavyweight champion of the world. You're going to have to go to that title. You're going to have to work your way up in that world.
But you could be pretty damn rich doing these expeditions.
And I think that's and that's what they ask him. Is this about money? And no doubt in my mind, Mike Tyson's doing it for money. He's doing it for money. That's what got him to answer the phone.
Sure.
Now it's probably turned into something personal.
Well, for the same reason that everybody wants to fight Conor McGregor, and always has. Red panty night.
Yeah.
Break out the red panties.
You're gonna get paid.
We
fight
did
Conor.
it.
Yeah.
And
look at Mayweather and McGregor.
There's everybody calling McGregor out.
Yeah.
Just for the chance. I hope I can just piss him off enough
that he'll fight me.
That he'll actually fight me so I can get that payday.
Is him and Chandler on?
Yes. Him and somebody's on. I think it's Chandler.
It's Chandler. Yeah. You're just not hearing much about it.
When is that? I can't remember.
I thought it was June or July. Tyson's July 21st. It's July 20th, 21st, whatever that is. I think they're saying it's the 21st because it'll probably be after midnight.
Yeah.
But if you have Netflix, you can watch it.
Right.
I mean,
We're going to be at the Fab D party that night, so
oh, you booked a party that night.
we'll have to have a big screen somewhere to.
Just make sure that night ends before that fight.
There you go.
That's or you sneak out of there before that fight.
Well, I can't guarantee that it'll end, so but I'll make sure I watch that fight.
I think we're going to have. We'll have to get you over there. I think we're going to go over to Fat Massey's. You know, he's got a whole movie theater. I mean, you know, richest guy we know, and he's got a whole home theater down there. So we're going to watch that fight. I think at Massey's. I think Tyson will win. You'll know within the first 30 seconds, in my opinion, how it's going to go.
Because you'll see if he's fast or if he's slow.
Yeah, it's going to come down to speed and accuracy. I think. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but and there again, if Jake Paul does something disrespectful, I'll really hate him.
Right.
You know, if he.
I think. Did you see? Did you see Jake Paul said? And I think these guys are just selling the fight.
Kissing his big juicy lips.
Which is understandable. But did you see him say he was going to beat him or knock him out like Buster Douglas? And Tyson said, "You're no Buster Douglas."
Yeah. He says, "You ain't Buster Douglas." You know, and yeah. I liked it whenever that reporter said something to Tyson. And what did
you almost saw the flash of like old Tyson.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that dude was crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, he was legit crazy back in the day.
Yeah.
And he was an animal and unpredictable. You never knew what he was going to do in the ring or out.
Mm-hmm.
And, you saw just a little glimmer in his eye.
You could just see it. Yeah. And what'd you say to me?
It took just a second longer than normal to register, but when it registered, you could see it.
Yeah, I'd kind of like to see him flip one more time.
That'd be great.
Yeah. He didn't flip against Roy Jones. I thought he was going to in that press conference after the show. Whenever they was like, Mike, you know, how do you feel? You know, I ain't fought in 15 years. He just quit fighting, you know, a year and a half ago. You know, I'm the one that you guys ought to be. I thought we were going to see it then.
Yeah. Well, it would, in this fight with Paul, maybe like a low blow or, something to just piss him off. I would love to see that come out of him one more time. It would make it worth it.
The scariest one, it scares me to this day whenever I see it. Whenever he's with that like old guy and they're having this interview and he goes, "You have to go now. You understand?" You remember that?
Yeah.
Whenever they were, I think they were talking about it was when his daughter passed and he could feel it, and all of a sudden, he was like crying, and then all of a sudden, his eyes were just like, "You have to go now." And
that's some incredible Hulk shit right there.
Yeah,
the sleeves start ripping and turning green.
Yeah, I bet back in the day he was just a wild man. That was everybody was more wild back then. Yeah. What's your favorite Mike Tyson fight?
Well, you didn't have the internet and all the camera. You had paparazzi, but you didn't have everybody had a camera in their pocket.
Yeah,
back in those days. So I think they could be more wild and crazy, or maybe you heard the legend of the story, but you didn't see it firsthand like you do today.
Yeah. And
I tell you, I think, probably Holyfield, that feud between the two of them. And I think, I loved watching every fight of his. I remember being heartbroken when Buster Douglas knocked him out.
And Buster's a local guy.
Oh, yeah. That freaking guy.
Yeah.
He had no chance.
Yeah.
And, but, Tyson, just for whatever reason that night, he just didn't have that killer instinct. He didn't have it. I almost wonder, the way when you listen to interviews with him now, he talks about how much he hated his life then and that sort of thing. I almost wonder if he just didn't have it anymore to
well,
give.
Yeah. It's, hey, you're going to get tired of selling clothes eventually.
Absolutely.
Yep. To the point of it puts out your fire.
Sure.
And wasn't that the first fight out of prison?
I'm not sure. It could have been.
That or McNeely was.
No, McNeely was hilarious, man. That guy.
I think that's my favorite Mike Tyson fight because on this basis. I love Peter McNeely. That guy is everybody's hometown hero. Do you follow him now?
No.
Man, he's had a rough way to go.
Has he?
Oh, he has no teeth.
I can remember the press conferences where he was trying to be Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Trying to rhyme.
Yeah.
It's bad.
It's bad. Yeah. But I will say this. He came out and fought. I think his adrenaline was so high whenever he fought Tyson. But, like, his skills were pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, McNeely was no joke.
I mean, they had to be to get to that
Yeah.
level and be able to even step in a ring with Mike Tyson.
And the rest of those guys like Lennox Lewis and even Buster Douglas. Buster Douglas, he just couldn't get him knocked out, and Buster just eventually come out of it. But Peter McNeely, and I mean, I know nothing about this sport. I'm just saying, like, watching this. Peter McNeely, the rest of those guys were very technical, Peter McNeely came out, and it was like two pit bulls going at it. It only lasted 30 seconds.
Right. But he had to survive.
Yeah. And
he didn't have the skills to piece him up.
It was nonstop, though, for the entire fight that it was. It was nonstop. There was
butterbean shit right there.
Yeah, yeah. Butterbean's back. He's moving around again. Have you watched any of those?
I've been watching that stuff with DDP and helping him to
He couldn't walk.
Get up and be mobile again. And, yeah, how cool is that?
Have you been watching like any of these old wrestlers and how they, like Ric Flair, and how they talk about their life? Dude, those guys right there make NFL players look like daisies.
There's nothing better than a Ric Flair podcast.
Yeah, I love it.
I mean, story time with Ric Flair.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's like the life everybody wishes they would have lived in the 80s.
Yeah. Who you been listening to podcast wise?
I'm a Gary V guy. Every day.
Every day.
Marketing, social media. He says the same thing over and over, and I listen to it over and over. I just try to absorb it all because I think he's been a forerunner in the social media world for a long time, and I think he sees what's happening better than a lot of people. I'm always a Joe Rogan guy too, but I kind of get bored sometimes on the nuclear physicists and. Joe thinks at a little higher level than me.
He's been getting deep, hasn't he?
Yeah. So
did you listen to Terrence Howard's?
No.
Terrence Howard got into this thing about astrology and the planets lining up, and I mean it got deep.
Man, I want to be that smart. I just don't have the attention for it.
It bores me.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes, I love I sound like a middle school kid here, but like a Joe Rogan and Theo Von.
Yeah.
Shit, I'll watch that. I'll watch that 3 times.
Theo Von has almost jumped into Rogan level.
Yeah.
I mean, I listen to all his stuff. He's another one, sleepy smart.
Oh yeah. Way smarter than people would give him credit for.
Yeah, he's good. You're going to make fun of me. Who I've been listening to a lot of. You're on Gary V. I think everybody needs to have at least one motivational guy that they talk to.
Yeah,
Dave Ramsey.
I've gone through my time that I listen to a lot of Dave Ramsey.
Yep, I'm trying to dissect his philosophy of cash is king. Like he doesn't believe in borrowing money.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. At least it's been a while, but there was a time where I did a deep dive, had the books, listened to the podcast.
Yeah.
But the way I remember it was you never take out a loan for anything. If you can't pay cash for it, you can't afford it. I'm not saying I agree with that, but that's his take on things, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I think, I don't know. Money has a interest rate or a percentage that they're going to charge you if you borrow it.
Sure.
A lot of times, if it's going to, if you're paying 7, but it's going to net you 28,
it's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer.
But he says it's not.
Now, I will say that if you teach the lessons that he teaches, he will always be able to reference why it's not. Like he'll always show you a way that you don't have to borrow. But I remember
And I mean, that kind of whets my interest in that a little bit again. Maybe I'll start listening to some more of that. But I mean, he always talked about, if you can't pay cash for your house, then you shouldn't be driving a $60,000 vehicle.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah, and if you have a car payment, you shouldn't have a house payment.
Exactly.
So, and I think he's a little bit. I think as long as your debt to income is in place, I think he's okay with that. As opposed to, I was just thinking, let's just say you're a 20-some-year-old kid. Okay, you let's just say you're 25 years old. And you've just went to college and you've just racked up this huge college debt. Okay. Let's just say for simple numbers, $100,000. And then you're going to go spend on average $1,500 on an apartment. Okay. To go live somewhere where your degree can be in effect. Right.
Okay.
Why would you not take that $1,500 that you're renting with and at least build equity in real estate?
Well, you're saying like a 26-year-old kid?
Yeah, he talks about building cash. Okay, well, how are you going to save that cash? And you're just redirecting your money. You're redirecting your rent money for a mortgage payment. And that's where I don't understand how he's so hung up on, if you can't pay cash for your house, don't do it. Why are you doing this? Why are you financing this for your house? Well, it's because I was paying $2,000 a month rent, and that'll justify a $250,000 mortgage. So why wouldn't I? And I don't know. I can't see renting something if it will make you better in a financial spot to buy.
I mean, that makes sense to me.
I mean, if you're going to pay $500 a month in rent or, $1,000 a month in rent, what will that buy you in mortgage? Can you make that work?
And, you're talking in your personal life and business, then there's other things to consider in that. How much of that, can you depreciate in a year? All of a sudden that, that's why leasing makes sense. Mm-hmm. In many cases,
or company cars, let's just say, take your guys' business, for example, you just told me you're every month you're somewhere different. You're in Atlanta, and I know you fly a lot, but you drive to some of them, don't you?
Sure.
Well, I mean, do you want to load up and drive to Washington in a 20-year-old car, if it's going to cost you $800 in repairs?
Correct.
Now I will always say that you need at least one or two paid for car. I think every family should be driving one car that has a payment. That used to be kind of the way it was. You had one car you were paying on, and the rest of them were all paid for.
Right.
And that's kind of I do kind of believe in that, but I also believe in dirt bikes. And mountain bikes.
Every family should have two.
Everybody should have a couple of dirt bikes. Yeah, so I've been listening to a lot of Theo Vaughn, a lot of Dave Ramsey, a lot of Rogan, and the other guy, Shane Gillis.
Love that guy.
Yeah, he's just funny.
Yep.
Yeah, he says some wild shit.
Oh, yeah. And doesn't give a damn what anybody thinks about it.
Yeah, he doesn't care at all.
So tell me about the Tom Brady roast.
Whew. I'll be surprised if anybody ever does roast again.
They'd have to be awfully brave.
Did you watch it?
Oh, yeah. I thought it was hilarious.
I thought it was hilarious, too.
Thank God it wasn't my family.
Yeah, man.
Shoo.
That was hot.
Yeah.
That was hot.
He looked like he was in pain.
Oh, there was a few times. I wonder what the deal was with the manager or the owner of the Patriots or Bills. What was that guy's name?
Robert Kraft.
Robert Kraft. What? I don't remember that scandal. He was getting a massage and he did what?
It was a happy ending massage, and the police raided it, or it was a big setup, I guess, or whatever you call that.
Wonder why he got mad whenever. I mean, they were just roasting Tom's balls off.
I mean, all the other shit.
Yeah.
In that thing, his wife, his family, his. But yeah, he got most offended about that.
Yeah. I didn't get that.
I mean, Robert Kraft's about half loopy anyway. He probably didn't even understand the joke.
I was gonna say, you could tell by sitting there watching him. I mean, he was going to take it okay.
Yeah,
yeah, he was all right.
And that was weird how he got offended. And then I thought, well, did he think he was being funny by stepping up and saying that? But I don't think so. I think that one, for whatever reason,
Yeah.
maybe just out of respect for Robert Kraft,
Maybe.
I guess.
Maybe.
And which I get that, but I mean, damn.
Said they gave him $40 million to do the roast.
Yeah, well, I could put up a lot of shit for $40 million, but
Yeah.
and my God, can you imagine the calls from the ex-wife?
Was she in the crowd?
No,
She wasn't?
she couldn't have been.
Yeah.
There's no way.
I'm surprised that they didn't have to like sign disclosures or something. I mean,
The other thing that I thought was, there's so much hilarious shit in that. We could do a whole show about that roast.
Yeah.
But the Kim Kardashian getting booed.
Yeah.
And I was listening to Bert Kreischer talking about it. He's like, you don't even know the half of it. Every time she moved, the crowd booed her. They edited all the shit out, but he said they just looked for any reason to boo her the whole night.
well, they just hate her, don't they?
Yeah.
Hey guys, let's pay some bills here. Tonight's show is brought to you by the Kelly Wiley Group of Keller Williams Excel Realty. I tell you, we all know Kelly and we all know the group down at Kelly Wiley Realty, and I'm telling you, you won't find a better class of people to deal with. A verifiable fact, something that I found very interesting. They are the #1 real estate agency in Southern Ohio, and it doesn't shock me. I tell you, there's 180 different items that a home buyer and a home seller must do whenever you buy or sell a house. The Kelly Wiley team is great at all of them. They will help you out from start to finish. They have some of the most up-to-date processes and systems that you can possibly dream of. You're going to love the whole entire experience. So if I were you, I would give those guys a call at 740-577-3795. That's 740-577-3795. Or you can also look at all of their inventory at kellywileygroup.com. I like that Tom Segura and Bert, but I think they think they're funnier than they are.
Yeah, that night they weren't the best.
Yeah.
By any means.
Tom Segura just seems real dry. And
Yeah. I'll tell you, there were a lot of people in that roast that I thought were really great. One that surprised me, I guess, because I have not watched him that much, was the Kill Tony guy.
yeah. He's from Cleveland?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, or like up there. He's up from like Canton or somewhere. Huh. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they were talking about that. It was Shannon Sharp. And he goes, what is it with Ohio? He's like, everybody's living in Ohio now. He's like, Dave Chappelle, Tony Hinchcliffe or whatever his name is from Ohio. There was another guy that was from Ohio that I didn't know.
Drew Carey's from
I'm talking, this was a guy that's like currently hot.
Yeah.
I can't think of who that was, but yeah, they were talking about just how Ohio right now has a lot of people.
I guess it's Ohio and Austin, Texas, right?
That's what, that was kind of like where he was going. Like there's the two houses. Have you been to Austin yet?
No, but I'd love to.
You need to get out there to the mothership.
That's where I want to go.
Yeah.
I think that would be a great time. And, you hear so much about it. I'd like to go there. So I'm looking for an excuse.
I just wonder if it'll eventually just become a tourist attraction. Like I know it already is.
Yeah.
But like Dollywood style tourist attraction.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I need to get out there. Maybe that's what we'll do this summer. I don't know, Gib, and I don't know if they'd want to go do all that. We got to plan a vacation here at some point. Gib wants to go back out west. I don't know. Like I said, we're not beach people.
So where's your favorite place to go?
I like it all, but I mean, I would like to go maybe to Utah.
Yeah.
And just see out there. I'd like to go to California. I've never been to California. Alaska was good. Yellowstone was good. Montana was good. I mean, I'm trying to see a lot. I'm not trying to really go anywhere again. I'd like to see. I would go to any of those places again, but I don't. If I had my pick right now, I want to do that. Drive down the West Coast. I want to do that. I kind of want to go to somewhere like Compton.
Yeah. I've not been out west that much. I mean, Texas, but there's a lot of states out west I'd love to go to. I'd love to go to California. I guess I've been to Vegas, but
I haven't been
that's
there.
just a fly in, fly out kind of deal. Loved Vegas.
Do you?
Yeah, I love that. And I'd never been there until a year or two ago, and we've been a couple times now.
I haven't been there.
Yeah, I think you'd love it.
So everybody says, they're like, you need to get out there And my brother-in-law lived out there.
Now, you don't have to be into gambling. It's
I'm not, yeah.
It's just there's something for everybody there. Mm-hmm. And, Fremont Street, one of the things I learned the first time we went out there, I think Fremont Street is way cooler than the Strip.
Yeah.
Because it's all more condensed, and it's like it's what I pictured the Strip to be.
Yeah.
And a lot of fun.
I think we're going to try either this year or next. We're going to start looking for either like one of those mini Winnebagos,
yeah,
or a transit van. I'm into these bikes and stuff, and I can use it for that as well as take it on vacation. We love a good road trip.
Yeah,
I
don't mind to drive.
I don't either.
I mean, flying's awful convenient for business. But you tell me I got 30 days to go out west, I would love that.
I did that 2 years ago, and it was awesome. It was awesome. I was tickled to death with it. I'd love to do it again.
Hey, here's somewhere that maybe this doesn't sound as exciting as some of those other places, but we had a really great time. Southern Florida, down into the Keys.
I've been to South Beach.
So from basically Fort Lauderdale or Miami south. We just drove, and we drove down into the Keys as far as you could go, and back up and through the Everglades. And I would like to spend a little more time there. I'd like to see some alligators and all the things out there in the Everglades.
I hate the heat.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, the worst heat I've experienced, and maybe Florida's worse different times of year. Worst heat I've experienced last August in Dallas, Texas. It was 114 degrees when we got on the plane, and dear God, I was ready to get out of that place. So you'd walk out of the hotel, and it just hit you in the face like a shovel.
Yeah.
I mean, it's awful.
Billings, Montana was like that.
Yeah. We were in a Uber to the airport, and it was 111, 112, 113, 114. I mean, it was literally climbing on the dash, watching the temperature. And it was absolutely miserable. And now I'm sure there's other places that are like that. Maybe Florida's one of them.
Yeah.
When we went to Florida in January, so
yeah. Florida's hot.
It was still beautiful weather, but I'm sure way more mild than other times of year. And but we really had a good time just exploring, all the way south. Cougar crossing signs.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. So
you been to New York City?
Yeah, we went. You and I have talked about that trip that we took up through. We went.
Oh,
right
yeah. We followed you.
Yeah. So you took.
We went same year, didn't we?
Yeah, you took a very similar trip that we did.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
New York City, Boston, Philadelphia, Cape Cod.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, I did that big bus tour because of you.
Yeah.
That was ideal. That was perfect.
So we have taken the big bus tour in every new city that we go to.
Okay.
Because I think, if I drive around Boston, for example, or I drive around Philadelphia, yeah, it looks cool. It's cool to see it, to say I've been there. But you go through and you really understand the history and, what this building is and what that building is. Man, $40 or whatever it is to ride on one of them buses for that tour for 2 or 3 hours is so worth it, because I know so much about these cities that we visited now that I feel like I would have probably never really valued how cool those places
They
really
give you
were.
those headphones, those disposable headphones, and then you just turn your thing on.
I did New York City in the pouring rain.
Yeah, you
on
did.
top of that damn thing.
I did it in the blazing ass heat.
Yeah, well, one's probably as bad as the other.
Did you go to Chinatown?
Yeah.
Did you get out?
We didn't get out there.
We did. Ooh, that was nasty.
Yeah. It's, I'll tell you, I wasn't terribly impressed with New York City, but probably because it was raining when we were there.
Yeah.
It was kind of miserable. I'd maybe like it better if we
I want to go back
a
and
little better.
I want to go back and live it.
Yeah.
I want to go back and spend 2 or 3 days there. We spent 2 days, did the big bus tour one day, and the next day I think we left.
Did you stay Times Square area?
We were probably
Somebody else told me that.
yeah. We were 15 minutes away from it. We stayed right underneath the Queensboro Bridge.
Okay. We stayed in Jersey.
Okay.
And, everybody says, don't stay in the city, stay in Jersey, and then you can just shoot over there. Bullshit. That's like a freaking day to try to get over there.
Just to get over there, yeah.
Yeah, we went walking from the hotel to to get on the train to go over there, and it's like we went to the first one, this isn't it, second
Yeah.
one, this isn't it. I feel like we walked a freaking mile trying to even find the right train to get on, and it only got worse when we got into the city. And again, it's pouring rain, so it's really not fair to evaluate.
Yeah.
It was a miserable day.
I have no interest in the Cape Cod region again.
Yeah, no, I told you I really liked that, but I know you didn't. But what we liked about it was, we went through the hustle and bustle of New York and Boston
Yeah.
and Philadelphia and all those places, and that was cool in its own way. And we got to Cape Cod, and it's like, my God, there's a beach here, and Deanna and I are the only people on the whole beach.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we can wade out as far as we want to go up to our hips
Yeah.
in the water.
Yeah.
And there was a lot that I liked about it. It was kind of like a Hallmark movie kind of town.
Very.
It's definitely not any excitement going on there, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Our kids love the, there's like one ice cream shop in town.
Mm-hmm.
But
I hated the beaches. They were rocky and they weren't dirty, but they were seaweedy.
yeah, see, I just like the privacy of it.
Yeah.
I hate like Myrtle Beach,
Yeah.
beach scene.
Everybody and their brother.
Yeah, but I just thought it was super cool. It's like there's beaches everywhere, and there's
Empty.
people that have private beaches there with their they buy it with their property.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing some research when we were there to try to understand how that happened, and at one point the city or whatever that government entity's called had granted the rights to the beach to the people that owned the property
Mm-hmm.
adjoining it, and so now you got your own freaking beach.
Yeah.
I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah. Yeah, Michigan was the same way. There was lots of places in Michigan where there was a private beach, so
Yeah.
they would just own it. You would love Michigan. None of the heat. You think you're on the ocean, you're not. It's just a big, Lake Erie, Lake Huron, all those are huge.
Yeah.
Torch Lake, crystal clear, looks like Jamaica. Wherever it looks like Clearwater or whatever. It's just crystal clear, but it might only get to be 70.
That sounds kind of perfect.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. There was one day on the beach. I think it was like 4th of July. Now, we were up pretty close to the Upper Peninsula. We were in Traverse City. I mean, when I say pretty close, like 2 or 3 hours from the UP. And it was long pants and hoodie on the beach.
What time of year?
4th of July.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely a colder temp, and out west was the same way. Now, like you would get in hot pockets, like I said, man, I'd never been as hot in my life as I was in Billings, Montana. It was just muggy, hot. But then you got down into Yellowstone, and you'd get up high in the elevations, and you'd be at 65, 50 degrees. I think on top of Pikes Peak, I think it was 45 degrees. Whenever I left the bottom, it was 90, and I got up to the top, and it was like 50 or 45. Yeah, that's a whole different feel to feel that within an hour of each other.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I'd really like to go out that area and explore and have the time to do it. That's we've tried to plan a trip out there, but we just didn't have the time.
You need 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah. We didn't have the time to do what we would have wanted to do there to really see it all.
And you're about a day getting there. You're 24 hours. That's hard charging.
Yeah.
Or 2 12-hour days or 3 8s, however you want to do it. But you're 24 hours to get to anything worth seeing.
Well, and if it's anything like, we've driven to Atlanta a few times, and by the time we get there, hard charge all the way down, get there.
You're exhausted.
It's like the whole next day, you got to pretty much recover from driving all day.
Yeah.
And so even when people say like, well, you got to drive an hour and a half to the airport, that sort of thing, that's still better than taking 2 days. Because the first day you're driving all day and miserable.
Yeah.
And the second day you're just trying to recover from it. Feel like you're hungover.
We used to drive, you remember those days you'd take a big convoy to Myrtle Beach and everybody and their brother'd go and, what time you leave? What time you leave? Well, and everybody'd leave at 2 o'clock in the morning or midnight, 1 o'clock. We're leaving at 1, and I quit doing that shit because you lose that whole day no matter what. You can either be driving or you can be sleeping, but you're going to get down there and sleep.
And you can go to Huntington now or somewhere and
Fly out there for $90.
pop on a plane for 40 minutes or something.
You're there in an hour.
Yeah.
Less than an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else we got to talk about, brother?
Well, that's, I guess with FabD Boutique, we launched FabD Beauty, Deanna's line of makeup, and that's going really, really well. And she's, I think, now shipped it to almost every state. Customers in almost every state. There might be a couple left where she's sending out those products. So that's kind of a big focus for us right now is helping her to market the new beauty line.
Yeah.
And then, of course, with the boutique, we're just cranking away at it and trying to hit all the different social media platforms and not have all our eggs in one basket, as you and I have talked about. Just trying not to be TikTok only, not to try to be Facebook only, but really diversify among all of them.
Well, you need people.
We always need people, but what we need is skilled people at this point who have a particular skill, like social media, for example. I'd love to have.
How do they prove that to you?
Prior to hire, I guess I'm really not sure other than a portfolio of work. But, I mean, this social media evolves so fast that somebody who was good at this 2 years ago, if they've been sitting on the sidelines for 2 years, they don't have any idea what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, this changes next week. There'll be things that'll be different. So I guess maybe somebody smarter than me could answer that question. But I think for us, I would just have to have confidence that they love it the way I love it.
Yes.
Because if that was the only thing I had to do, I would love that job.
Yeah.
To be a chief marketing officer and to just study these social media patterns and to study customer behavior and to study how the different platforms are evolving and try to be the one to predict.
So you're not looking for somebody to come in and be the front man. You're looking for somebody that can break down analytics and tell you what you should be doing.
I think there's a part of it that's that, and I think there's a part of it that we really need. I know how many times we should be posting on each platform each day, and I can't tell you the last time that we hit all those numbers because there's 100 other things that Deanna's doing and that I'm doing, and to be able to film that content and to take the time to cut it up and edit it and create thumbnails and all the things. So I guess ideally I'd like to have a person to do that kind of work.
Yeah.
To make sure that we've got a marketing plan and a marketing schedule so that Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, LinkedIn.
You're using them all.
I'll tell you the next one I think is Threads. And
I don't
here's
disagree.
why I think that. I think it because Facebook is integrating it into your Facebook feed now.
Yep.
I can't tell you how many times in the last week I've clicked on a link and didn't realize it, but I was going into the Threads app. And
Do you have the Threads app?
yeah, but we haven't done much on it. But I think that's the next big one, and we will.
It looks like what Threads is going to do is take the ability. Used to Instagram was strictly pictures, and Threads is a way that Instagram is going to be able to post like you do on Facebook, isn't it? Kind of like a tweet.
Yep. And, well, I mean, that's the thing. It's supposed to be a competitor for X. And now, X owns Vine. You remember Vine?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And there's at least talk. Elon's at least, throwing out the idea of bringing Vine back. And I think things have evolved, a lot because of TikTok. But everything's shorter and quicker now. And our attention span on social media is quicker. I mean, how many times, when you're scrolling, how many times do you actually get past 3 seconds on a TikTok post?
Yeah.
When you're creating those TikTok posts, you really got to grab the attention in the first second, but you definitely got to grab it in the first 3 seconds. And I think that mentality has changed society in a way that even our live shows, we've had to make adjustments in the way that we do things. We used to do Thursday nights used to be 4.5 hours long, and it was hangout time. It was, we're going to show all these new arrivals, and Deanna's going to show all the new stuff, and we're going to have story time, and we're going to tell the crazy things we did on our last trip, that sort of thing. People would literally hang out from the minute we started that show at 6 p.m. to Eastern time to 10:30 at night when we'd finally wrap it up.
Yeah.
And the people who were on there at 6 were on there at 10:30. And that has totally changed at this point. Now, we haven't totally made the change yet, but right now a 90-minute show, jam-packed, it's got to be fun, it's got to be lively, it's got to be exciting, or you'll never keep their attention.
Yeah.
And 90 minutes is probably too long.
Oh, yeah.
And we haven't quite made that complete pivot yet, but we probably should have by now. It's it's 3 seconds on TikTok that if you don't catch their attention, that's why everybody's got a hook. I don't know who needs to hear this. Okay, you kept me.
Yeah.
That's why everybody's got a hook, and that's we're constantly looking for the hook. We're trying to figure out what is it that's going to stop the scroll, not just on TikTok, but of course right now TikTok's the hot one.
Yeah. And I think you got to diagnose your target audience.
Of course, yeah.
That's there's a lot of guys that would sit here and say, well, good looking people, good, or lots of cleavage, and that's a rhyme and reason on TikTok.
Absolutely.
There's people that make a living just off of how they present themselves.
Sure.
Or you see all these guys that or these people that paint themselves up, and I mean they're looking like you see somebody and they might have a hammer drove in their hand or something, and you're like, okay, I'll bite.
Absolutely.
What's this?
Yep.
And so it seems like you're trying to appeal to that female shopper.
Sure.
I have no idea what that would be.
Typically our customer is looking like 35 to 54 demographics. I mean, there's some younger, some older, but I mean, that's really the sweet spot for us. But a lot of those folks are, Deanna can stop the scroll way better than I can, or anybody else. She just got away on these thumbnails. She looks beautiful. So, scrolling around, there's a beautiful girl.
Yep.
That'll stop the scroll long enough, but we've still got to have quality content.
You do.
To keep their attention. And I mean, to keep their attention for 30 seconds is tough. I mean, if you look at the information that TikTok will provide, when did you lose?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Viewers?
16 seconds, 4 seconds.
4 seconds.
Yeah.
6 seconds. It's tough.
I like that one. There's one show that you do. I don't know which one it is, but the woman has like a spiral staircase in the back.
Yeah.
I think that really looks nice.
Yep. It looks real.
Yeah, and it looks real, and you're like, oh, okay, this is a fairly successful,
Yeah. Everybody thinks that's Deanna's house.
Okay.
Until they've watched for a while and figure it out. But I mean, there'll be 100 comments in a show like, "Oh my gosh, I love your house," and that sort of thing. And then, we'll have fun with it. Like, I'll ask somebody to run upstairs and grab something. It looks so real.
It's not
camera.
real?
Hell no, it's not real. It's a backdrop.
No shit.
I thought you knew.
No.
Well, shit, I shouldn't have told you.
No, I thought that was 100% that lady's house.
Nope, that's. It looks like you could walk up the stairs.
Absolutely, it does.
Yeah.
Is that in the shop out there?
Yeah.
Wow, that looks nice.
Yeah, we've got 6 different stages there now, and that's one of them.
Is this in the old office spot of Georgie's?
So what used to be Georgie's office is now FabD Beauty.
Okay.
So that's the beauty products, and then the next 2 buildings are warehouse and retail and filming and all those things.
Wow.
So, but yeah, that it couldn't look any more real. It literally looks like you could turn around and walk upstairs.
Until 40 seconds ago, I thought you could.
And I'd have never told you if I didn't think you already knew.
Had no clue. If you'd have taken me out there and showed me that, I'd have been flabbergasted.
But there's a perfect example of stopping the scroll.
Yeah.
Because you see that beautiful home, and wow, it catches your attention. It slows you down for a minute. And, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and that's what we tried to do with this studio, rather than just a bunch of guys sitting in a room. Oh, this is, you guys got a studio. Okay, you got big room,
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you're right. We have, we've just been slow and steady. That's what we're trying to do is just keep pumping out content. You see a lot of these guys, and you'll be episode like 178, 179, something like that, which is still a lot. But look, there's guys that haven't been doing it as long as we have that are 500-600 episodes in, and it's like, whoo,
sure,
man, alive. So, well, come back and see us, man. It's been an hour and a half.
Yeah,
Just like that. Always with you, Goodman.
Good to chat.
Yeah, and,
Yeah, we do this shit on the phone all the time.
Yeah. Chad is at Brown this weekend. Helena's graduating from Brown.
Man, how awesome is
Proud
that?
dad moment there.
I'm sure.
So, and then I think she's going to High State Law School, I think is where she finally drilled down to.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So, Chad is over there. This is, big graduation weekend. Big graduation weekend for everybody.
Some impressive kids coming out of this area.
Crazy, man. I can only hope.
Yeah.
You too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, my daughter's in Italy right now.
is she really?
She's a world traveler now. She went there with Rye Grand,
Okay.
but they're on like a 10-day trip to Italy.
That's great.
But she's been all over the place studying. And I mean, how awesome to be 18, 19, 20 years old and see the world before you have all the obligations and other things.
Oh, man, I'm jealous.
Yeah, I think it's awesome.
Yeah. All right. Chubbies, look us up. Check out our boy Shane at FabD. Look him up, fabd.com on Facebook, TikTok, all that stuff. If you get on there late at night, sometimes you'll see Goodman on there, and he's like the rooster in the hen house. You guys got to do that.
That's for sure. Me and Pudge spent one night trying to fight off the ladies on the internet.
My wife said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Just lay back down over there."
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. Late at night is pretty cool.
It gets wild. So look us up. See ya.